Well, South Carolina has a really good team, a hard-playing team, really good in all three phases. Coach Beamer's done an excellent job there, and they're playing with a lot of passion, and so we're excited that it's home. I think our crowd has proven that we have a good home field advantage. We need them here. 11 o'clock game. I know a year ago we went to Georgia and it was one of the loudest places I'd ever been in, and certainly their players had a lot to do with the success they had that day, but the crowd did as well. It bothered us, and certainly hope that we can get that same next Saturday that we had the first game of the year. So with that, whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm ready.
Coach, after watching the film of Saturday, is there anybody or anything in particular that stood out that maybe you weren't expecting or anything?
I thought Landon Jackson and Terry Hampton and Dominique Jordan, I thought they all played well. Jordan Dominic, excuse me. I get that mixed up all the time. I'm sorry. I didn't get it mixed up. I knew who he was when he had that sack and picked that fumble up. Thought they all played well. We've got something there. We've got a little bit more depth. Was pleased with our wide receivers. I don't think we talked about them much in there, all of them. There was some, our O-line's got to play better. We've got to be more consistent. With our reads and different things on offense. Defensively, we've got to play better in the secondary. But all those things, none of it was we're not playing hard, our eyes are in the wrong spot. We just didn't cover them sometimes, and we didn't block them sometimes, and we've got to get better. But if you look back last year, I think after the first game and to the second game, we improved quite a bit, and that's old coach's cliche, but that's pretty accurate. You should improve more in the second week. That really you get game tape, you get live action, and so we look for a lot of improvement out of our team.
Do you have any update on Catalan, Fletcher, and Isaiah Nichols?
Well, we're not ready really to figure out exactly Catalan's situation. We haven't, let's say that, I guess. Slusher's in the same boat there, and I think Nichols will be fine.
The definition of Beamer ball back in the day was great special teams, and you crossed paths with Shane.
Yeah.
Is he, they blocked 2 punts for touchdowns, I think, in this game. What is it that, what do you think he's done that's kind of adapted maybe his dad's ways, and what is Beamer ball,
Well, I think it comes, from his father, where you can win games on special teams. You look at Saturday's game, they kicked the onside kick, they squibbed a kickoff, they faked a field goal that got them 7 points. And they got down first and goal on the 2 on a fake field goal. They blocked 2 for a touchdown. So, special teams, they scored 21 points basically. And but I think Shane knows how important it's a passion of his, just like O-line is to me. He was, at Georgia, he was a special tight ends and then the special teams coordinator at Georgia when we were there together for a couple of years. And so it's like anything. You emphasize it, you have passion for it. Hopefully your team's a little bit better at it, and they certainly are. They're really good on special. They're a good team, but they're a good team in all 3 phases.
I was going to ask you about the D-line because it looks like you went 8 or 9 deep. How did everybody grade out? Did they play as well as maybe you anticipated they would or better?
I thought Terry Hampton played really well. That would be the first guy right off the bat that I thought played a really good game. Landon Jackson played hard, had some plays. I think he's just going to get better. He didn't play a lot because of his injury a year ago. So I think he'll just get better. Those two guys, Stu did fine. But those, and then of course Dominic. Anytime somebody makes a big play, he sticks out. But consistently, I thought our transfer guys played really well. And then the other guys we had, Williams, Zach. He played a little faster. I thought a little better than what he did a year ago. But I was pleased with the D line. I think Cincinnati had a good physical offensive line.
Coach, I was curious about what you thought about their offense, just how they run it. I mean, sometimes they're 5 wide, sometimes they're 11 personnel, sometimes they're in the wishbone.
What's amazing is their number one set was empty Saturday, and of course, if you had Spencer Rattler, you'd probably want to do that. Where he's most dangerous is when he gets out of the pocket. I mean, when he gets out of the pocket, he can throw on a run as accurate as anybody, and so I think that's game plan for them. Maybe part of them is trying to find out exactly, what they are on offense. I don't know. I like the Lloyd kid. I think he's a really good running back. He's been hurt a little bit in his career, but he shows a lot of speed. Jumped over a guy on Saturday night, and but I think anytime you go empty, you feel good about your tight ends and your wideouts, and of course your quarterback. But they do a lot of things. In one game, there was a lot going on with options, with toss plays, with what we call truck plays. Down, pull, and they did have a complement of inside and outside runs, trying to get it out on the outside, not necessarily with outside zones, but more toss type plays, option type fast hitters, trying to get the ball on the edge. So we'll see anything they change or not. I don't know.
And just your general impressions on the defense. I'm not sure on the personnel, but it looked like the 2 edge guys like to stand up a lot.
They've got 2 really. I mean, they've got a lot of good players, but Brad Johnson and Cam Smith are really good players. And Cam Smith, I think he might be projected in the first round. They're playing him a little bit more nickel this year, corner, but he's really good. And then you're talking about 7 and 5 out there, and both of them are good players, big. They've got good size. Anytime you have good linebackers, in my opinion, you have a chance to have a good defense. I think that's a strength of theirs, and so they have 6 starters coming back, I believe, from last year. So they've got a lot of experience.
Where do the cornerbacks stand now that you've seen them through one game, and did you get any clarity there?
Well, we have a lot of work to do. I think probably Nudie and Clark, Chavis would be another one that, there's still guys that need to get on the field somehow, but they got to practice better to do that. But I think those 3 are right now are probably ahead of the rest of them at this point. But we'll see how practice goes.
Are you concerned about depth at nickel at all? I know like you said, we don't really know what's happening with Fletcher yet, but just what does that position look like with him potentially?
Yeah, I told we don't know what's going to go on with Cat. We don't know what's going to go on with Slush, but I told the staff, we got to be concerned about the ones that are going to be there for sure, and we've got people that we can move, if we need to. Kyrie Johnson being one of those guys, and no, I'm not real concerned about it. I mean, the game of football, you may lose someone for a week, you may lose someone for a season. Just it is what it is, and you hate it, but it's a physical sport, and that's why they pay us a lot of money so we can get guys ready to play and recruit good players for depth. So we'll have to find out on those guys, but if they're not able to play, we'll be fine.
Sam, what's your take on Rattler? Obviously a really heralded guy at OU, lost the job, but now he's starting again.
I like him. You know, he plays like a guy that's played before, you know, experienced, got a lot of poise. He got a lot of, you just can feel his confidence through the film. You know, I got a chance to watch the game a little bit live as well. You know, anytime you have a quarterback, sort of like KJ with us, he's either gonna have through the whole team confidence about him, or the whole team reacts to me a lot about what your quarterback does, and you can kind of see that a little bit with South Carolina. They believe in him, and he runs the show well. And you know, for a guy that just, you know, it was his first game, I thought he played really well.
Of course, it's always good to get Georgia off your schedule, but South Carolina, you know, a couple of years ago they win 2 games. Last year they go to a bowl and win it and get Rattler, and they're looking a lot better than they did a couple of years ago. I guess what's your thoughts about
a
playing
couple
them
of years
instead of
ago we
Georgia?
won 2 too, you know. So I think they're doing a great job. I think they have a really good team. They end up, you know, having a winning season last year in Shane's first year, and that was a heck of a job. I think they're a really good SEC football team, and but we've had time to get better as well, but I have respect the job that they've done.
I feel like I could be wrong about this, but I don't feel like we heard a lot about Nudie in the preseason, but goes out and debut, has a pick. Just what were your impressions of his debut? What did he do well?
He's got to get better. I mean, obviously the pick was a huge play in the game, and he's got to be more consistent. That was basically that, and some injuries, why he was, you know, running 3 at times in camp. But he is a gamer. I mean, that's kind of who he is. We figured that out, but he seems to really enjoy it here. He's a great kid to be around, and I think he'll just continue to get better and better. And you know, I know when we played him last year, when we played LSU, and he was over on the other side, he made some really good plays against us. So he played ball. I trust him. So I'm happy he's here, and I think he'll just continue to get better and better. It was a big pick he had Saturday.
And with Rocket, I think his first 3 carries may have had 6 yards. Looked like maybe there was some early frustration from him, but settled in, had a nice day. What'd you think of him?
Well, you know, you're gonna have some 1-yard runs, some 0, and all that, and he'll continue to. I think he's mature way above his years. You know, I think he's getting better. I think he's a better back right now than he was a year ago, and you know, he just stayed the course and read the O-line pretty well, but he runs extremely hard. I'll be honest with you, I was the first one that A.J. Green carried the ball. That's the best I'd ever seen him, ever, in practice, in a game. I think he had like 3 carries for 18 yards or something. I don't know what it was, close to that. But his very first carry, he hit it. He ran 10-3 through the hole, and he ran over some guys and got an extra 2 or 3 yards. That's really the first time, practice and game, to be honest with you, that I've seen him really hit it. I think I was excited about him with that, and of course R-Dub as well. I know the question was about Rocket, but I thought all 3 of those guys played pretty well and seemed to protect well as too.
I know you guys have thrived on the blue collar work ethic that you have. You've kind of become the hunted now. You're ranked, and teams are going to be coming after you. Has there been any psychology you've seen in your team on viewing themselves differently and what people think of them?
I don't know. We always will find a reason to play our brand of football. We like who we are. I mean, I don't know, you know, I don't know how good we are. I don't know how good Cincinnati is, and I mean, I don't know. But as long as we keep that chip, you know, disrespect type chip, whatever it may be, we'll find a reason, you know, to talk to the team about things like that. But you're right, it's changed a little bit. You know, you see your name in the top 25 and all that kind of stuff. We've been there for a while now, and but our kids, we have a smart group of kids, and they believe in their coaches. I mean, they do, and they believe in what we've done is what we do at practice, and how we play is the only reason of why we're winning, and I believe that too. So they like winning every bit as much as we do, and so I think they bought into not thrills and spills and all that. They bought into truth, and they've seen it work by the way that we practice.
And then I had a question about the pass game. What did you think maybe overall? Maybe you only took one or two deep shots. Not sure how many were called, but just overall pass.
We had some. We just didn't let it loose, which, you can't. KJ's going to do what KJ's going to do. I mean, that's, and most of the time it's correct, So, you're not out there all the time, and there are some times you go, well, why didn't he throw this one? Why didn't he throw that one? But I think you probably do that with Johnny Unitas. You probably did that with Dan Marino. I don't know, but I would assume they don't see everything like you do. But I like our receivers. I like them a lot. And I think if we just continue to practice and KJ just continues to get comfortable. I mean, he obviously comfortable with Hazelwood because he threw it into he wasn't really double covered, but it was close in there, and he just thought, hey, you're better than them. You go get it for us. And right before half, I believe, was the one, and he did. So first play of the game, he throws it out to Matt Landers. You know what I mean? So I think they've got to play a little bit more together, but I think when they do, I really like our wideouts.
You mentioned Kari Johnson earlier as a guy that can move around in the secondary. Are you talking maybe safety, nickel, or what do you envision for him?
Both, probably. He's going to have to be able to play both those. We moved him to corner for a reason. We moved him to safety for a reason. But, he at times last week, he was in the two deep at corner. I mean, he was running two deep, and so he's a good player. And hadn't played quite as much, obviously, as the other guys, but he's smart. I think he's probably going to have to be a guy that is able to play both those spots.
I know Ladarius Bishop, your first year here, played a lot of nickel. Would that be something you look at too, or?
Probably not right now, to be honest with you. Probably not right now.
And then last thing I had, how would you assess Max Fletcher in his first game, and is there still maybe an ongoing battle there with him and Reed?
Yeah, there's obviously a battle there. I think if you ask Max, he'd tell you he probably didn't punt as well as what he'd like to. We shouldn't have had to punt the second one that he punted out of bounds. We had a penalty on it, and but we did, and he punted out of bounds. I mean, that's the real part of it. But I think he'll get better. It was just, I never lived in Australia. I don't know what it's like over there to come over here, and there's a lot of people in the stands. He's probably a little nervous. Hell, I was nervous. I've been around a long time, so he'll be fine.
Coach, you said last week that you were, going to hit Dominic a little bit with the scouts and get him some stuff where he can cut, where it's not predetermined. How did he look last week doing that, and is there a chance for him this week to play?
I hope so. I hope so. I don't know. We're going to put him out there this week, today, and see what he can do. And if we feel good about it, I felt like we were experimenting with him a little bit last week. And it was basically, I don't think he's going to play type of experimentation. But we were trying to get him ready for a possibility to play against South Carolina. We're going to amp up his responsibility and his reps and see what happens on it. If we feel good about him and more importantly, he feels good about it, then he'll play.
Will he be in green today?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious about what you think, being a whole offensive line coach, what you think about what you see with South Carolina's offensive front.
You know, they have a lot of experience. You know, Georgia State did a lot of things to them. They've got a fine coach. You know, a lot of times, first game of the year, you don't play quite as well as you want to. They've got a good front five. A little bit different offense than what they did a year ago. I anticipate that they'll be in here and play really well against us. They've got a lot of veterans up there, so. And I recruited or tried to recruit some of those kids when I was at Georgia, so I know they have good players, and I'm sure they'll be ready to go.
Coach, I'm curious what you saw out of Luke Jones against Cincinnati.
Played well. I mean, you know, Luke, when he first got here, he was he wasn't an urgent player. A little bit of not slow motion, but not full speed, kind of like I'm thinking all the time. I don't know what they want, you know, all that. And that's gone completely away. I think he's a good left tackle in this league, and I was really, really happy. I think if you ask him, he'd probably be pretty happy. He got some things like all of us do, including me. But I think he had a good game.
And then at linebacker, aside from Bumper and Drew, what did you think of the other guys?
Yeah, we had Pooh end up playing, I think, somewhere around 17 snaps or something like that, and did fine. Played hard, ran down a play about 25 yards down the field and got in on a tackle. And then Crook, I think Crook played 6 plays, if I'm correct. But we knew, you know, we have a meeting before the game, you know, 45-minute meeting, and we say, okay, how are you going to play the players? And then I ask them, okay, somebody gets dinged up, somebody over here, what are we going to do? How are we going to adjust and all that? And we played the players exactly like they're at linebacker, like we wanted to, you know. Mike came in and talked about we played those 2 inside guys too many plays. I said, but no, we didn't. I mean, you don't play games. You don't go, man, I'm going to take them out for 20 plays so we can get these young guys a rep in a game like that. You're trying to win, you know, and so both those guys played a lot of plays, 70-something apiece. But we got enough experience with those other 2 guys, and we'll continue to hopefully earn a few more reps each game.
Hey, you mentioned the Georgia game last year and the energy in the stadium. Before you went down there, Nakobe Dean was talking about the 2019 South Carolina game, which was a early start and you guys had lost, and he thought something to the effect that the lack of energy had probably cost him. Do you perceive that that can sometimes be an issue for those early games, that it's hard for the players to get up for them?
Oh, I think it's more of an excuse. You know, you get beat and you go, oh, well, it's 11 o'clock and the crowd was – you're supposed to be ready to play whether there's anybody in there. The crowd helps you, and that's why I want, you know – well, I don't have to ask the Razorbacks to come out there. They've already sold 70-something thousand tickets. They'll be out there. And they enjoy coming, so they'll be loud. And they helped us last week. But, I think as a coach you worry about everything. You know, you can worry just because I'm not worrying, you know. And, I mean, you can't. It's weird. But 11 o'clock game, we practiced 6 times, you know, started at 10:15. That's not going to be the reason why we win or lose. But I'll say this, Georgia's crowd last year was deafening when we went out there, and it was a problem for us, just like hopefully our crowd's going to be Saturday for South Carolina.
When you have an 11 o'clock kickoff, what's a Saturday morning schedule look like?
7 a.m. We'll do all the chapel, and our coaches' staff meeting will be Friday night after they get through with their meetings with the kids, and then on Saturday morning. It'd just be 7 o'clock pregame. And then we always do a special teams walk. And then we always do a unit walk. Then we get on the bus, I don't know, about 2.5 hours or so, 2:40 before the hog walk, and about 25 minutes down there, I think. And get to the hog walk about 2:10, 2 hours and 10 minutes before, and get off and wave, walk down the hill, and go in there and get ready to play. It's the greatest feeling in the world besides winning. It's awesome.
How would you describe your relationship with Shane Beamer, and what do you remember about the time you guys were together? And do y'all, like in the off season or during the season, do you guys ever text or talk or anything?
Yeah, we talk. Shane lived in the same subdivision as I did at Georgia. He came in together. He was tight end coach and special teams coordinator, and obviously we worked together, in the same meetings for 14 hours a day, so we knew each other well. He has a wonderful family, beautiful family. He'd always go on bike rides and walks through the neighborhood and stop in and say hello. But he's just a really good man, really good coach, energetic guy. But we didn't hang out, be honest with you don't hang out with anybody. I mean, you're tired of seeing people when you go home. I mean, you've seen them for 14, 15 hours a day. And it wasn't from dislike. Scott Fountain lived next to me, and I never saw him. Matter of fact, Scott Fountain bought a new home, and he was, like from Andean, that close, and I never went in his house. And you get home, you're tired, so it has nothing to do with that. Shane's a wonderful guy, great coach, and looking forward to seeing him.
I want to ask you about two guys, Dubinion, 3 plays, all of them productive, and then Malik, it looks like he was right on the edge of maybe letting that pass go to Hazelwood, but he was productive too. Can you maybe speak to their roles?
Yeah, it was there, and Malik decided not to throw it, and he ended up making a really good play out of it. Dubinion looked good, didn't he? With the screen and then making a guy miss on the sideline. We've all seen that at practice. He can cut on a dime, and I think Jimmy, talking to him, he thought he played Rocket he's played him just like we thought we would in our meetings, but he probably wished he would have got R-Dub a few more carries and Zero a few more carries. But I thought R-Dub was very productive for those 3 plays. He did some really good things in tight moments. Now we needed it, and so.
SEC was 14-0 before last night. Did you watch any conference play?
I did. On Sunday nights, I'd study the opponent until 9 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock I start recruiting from 9 to whatever, 10, 10:30, whatever it may be. And so last night the game was on, guys were talking about it, so we stayed in my office where the TV is, and I said, hey, let's do some recruiting and some talking and some texting while the game's on. So yeah, I did get a chance to see the last quarter or so of the game.
Sam, you guys obviously didn't have any protection issues on punts last week, but seeing what South Carolina did, knowing Beamer's reputation, is that an extra emphasis this week, punt protection?
Yeah, it is. They know exactly what we do as well, because he and Scott worked side by side together at Georgia. Scott was a special teams analyst, and Coach Beamer was the special teams coordinator. So we know a lot of the things they're doing, and they know a lot about what we're doing. Georgia State was not necessarily schematics. They just misblocked. One was one was in their shield and one was on the backside of a zone type protection backside, and their split didn't allow him to make that block, or he false stepped or whatever. But it wasn't necessarily schematics. It was they just got beat, and we have to emphasize. I mean, anytime you had a team coming in that had that much success on special teams, you better be ready for it, because they've got juice over there for special teams, and we've got to be really well prepared, which we will be.
Big news Friday about the playoffs getting expanded. I guess we don't know all the details in the future, but what was your reaction to that news?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it either, except they was talking about 12 teams, and obviously for teams like us, where you're playing in the SEC, that might allow for 3, 4, 5 teams from the SEC in the playoffs, and certainly one loss or 2 losses wouldn't just kill your opportunity to get in the playoffs anymore. And I'm all for it. I think it'd be good for the fans. I think it'd be, you're bringing 12 fan bases instead of 4, and I'm all for it. And they'll figure out how to do the bowls and all that. It probably will cost another game, but I'm all for it.
On KJ's first touchdown run, Matt Landers had a block
really
that kind of sprung, and then on Knox's touchdown run on the sideline, Keytron had a block. What did you think about the way the receivers blocked?
We really have emphasized that big time at practice, and we even have perimeter drills and all this, just things about blocking and strain, and if we're going to tell the defense they got to run to the ball, we've got to continue to play hard on offense and all those type things. And both of them were really big, and Trey just ran right down the sideline. He's close too. He needs to run a little bit, more into the field. But he just ran down the sideline because Keytron had him locked down pretty good, and then same way with KJ. Made a guy miss, and then once he did that, Matt had him handled pretty good out there.
And I may be missing one, but of all your holding penalties, I don't think any of them were on your linemen. Were you pleased with that regard of the?
No, I mean, we had 7 penalties. If you get out of a game around 4, because most of the time they're going to call you 2 holdings. I mean, it's that's the average, 7's too many. Don't believe we had an offsides. I don't believe we had a legal procedure on offense. I don't believe we jumped offsides on defense. One of our did we? Gerald. Yeah, Dorian Gerald on the side on the play up the side. We had 2 zeros on the field at one time. Those type things, that's us, so. But 7's too many, and we cost us a lot of yards obviously on 2 of the plays.
Coach, you had a good recruiting weekend, a lot of players in. With an 11 o'clock game, how difficult is that? I mean, you're asking kids from Texas to come in and get up at the crack of dawn.
It's hard. It's almost impossible. I mean, not impossible, but, if you got a 4 or 5 hour drive, you can get up at, 5 or whatever. If it's much further than that, the great thing is they have plenty of time. You can visit with them after the game, and you have more time after the game. But just getting here, and then fortunately the traffic, is not easy to manipulate through and all that right now, because the number of people coming in on the bus on Saturday, the cars were back further than they've ever been since I've been here, and that includes 13, 14, 15. They were way back there, and we knew we was going to have a big crowd, but it was kind of cool. We had to go in the other lane and all that kind of stuff. And But yeah, 11 makes it a little more difficult. But I still think from what we talked about yesterday, we're going to have a pretty good crowd coming in of athletes.
I know we talked a lot about Trey Knox right after the game, but were you surprised at all that he came on that strong in this first game? Or
Nah, not really. I mean, he's an older guy. He's been practicing extremely well. It's important to him. I mean, I was happy for him that he did some quality, had some big plays, but not really as a surprise. I think as we continue to throw the ball more to wideouts and things, I think he'll even become more productive. But he, not really. I mean, I think he catch 6 balls and a couple touchdowns. I thought he'd have a good game. I'm just glad that he did and was able to score some touchdowns for us.